Welcome to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based photographer Tavishima Ayede. In the last episode, we did a little riff on rejection and the right attitude to have towards it if you're going to be doing a lot of personal selling in your business. Today, I'd like to riff on networking and the expectation of future business. The background to this is for those of you who are following the previous episodes, I was a facilitator at a training for wedding planners on the 26th of June earlier this year. And we got to talking about qualities that you need, personal and professional qualities that you need to be good at sales. And that also formed the basis of one of the earlier episodes before now, maybe 3 or 4 episodes back. And in discussing a couple of items, we came across the item of networking. The members of the class figure that networking is also something that is absolutely vital if you're going to be involved in personal sales. On a side note, I learned an interesting concept that day. The students in the class kept talking about work netting. So, I wanted to find out what this idea of work netting is. It turns out that they had one of the previous tutors or facilitators had covered the topic of networking and taught them that you're supposed to be networking and not work netting. So I was curious, what does work netting mean? And how they defined work netting to me was that work netting is when you show up in a room, you show up at an event, or you're with your peers, and all you do is walk around and introduce yourself. You walk up to the person, you shake their hand, you say, "Hi, my name is so, this is what I do." So basically you just spend the whole evening, the whole session, just walking around the room, and your focus is only self-promotion and handing out your business card. You're not necessarily concerned about amassing cards for yourself. Now, I think it's a really interesting idea, this idea of work netting. And I told the other instructors that I was going to talk about these ideas in some of my material. So I'm giving proper credit to the person who's one of the founding partners of V's events, a wedding planning outfit here in Abuja. And so, whatever it is you want to call it, I like the term work netting, and so I'm going to agree with them. That if your focus is just going around and it's self promotion only, and you're only amassing cards for yourself, or just throwing your cards all over the place, then what you're doing is bad, whether you call it work netting or bad networking. Now, on the matter of networking, the class had a perspective about what networking is based on what they were taught, and I have my own perspective about what networking is. So, the class perspective, what they figured was that networking is when you try to create personal relationships with the hope of doing business in the future. Now, I can't fault that, especially the angle of the hope of doing business in the future, because we're only human, and so no matter what it is that we do, no matter how altruistic we try to be, there is an element of we're hoping for some good karma to come out of this. Now, in my own experience, especially listening to other folks like what's his name, Gary Vaynerchuk, and coming across the old school books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. What else? And then this an older guy, Zig Ziglar. So basically, from the Zig Ziglar, Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk perspective, I realized that there's a different way to doing these sorts of things, to networking. Although I can't say that any of them has any concise theory of networking, these are a couple of things that I've gleaned from my listening to these folks. So, my own perspective on networking. Personal relationships, yes, all well and good, although I prefer that you start off with being business focused, value focused, or other person centric. Let me repeat it again. I prefer that you start off being business focused, value focused, or other person centric. Eventually, you guys will get to be very good friends and you'll get to know each other's husbands and wives and children and all of that. But I don't think starting off trying to form the personal relationship should be the focus. Now, if you're looking at it from a business point of view, or from a value centric point of view, or other centric point of view, then the focus in the relationship would be to see how you can advance the other person's cause. So I'm walking around the hall or I'm online and I'm meeting folks, whatever it is. My focus would be, what is this other person's business? Assuming we're not in a business setting, I'm meeting, just ordinary folks out of a business context. I'm trying to understand what it is that these people value. And like I said in the previous podcast, value is defined not by me, but by the other person that I'm talking to. What does that person want to achieve? So I try to figure out, what does the business do? If it's a personal context, what is it that these people value? The focus is totally on the other person. Now, being that I am a wedding professional slash businessman slash, you name, general everything, I definitely know of some resources and other people, and I have some other talents that might be able to help these people achieve their own ends. So if this other person is a businessman and he's into, let's say, inverter sales, I might have some resources and stuff like that to be able to help him advance his own cause. And if I'm meeting someone who is interested in the education of secondary school children, and indeed I've met someone like that before, I'm looking at how I can be a valuable asset to help that person achieve their own goal. Now, what is the benefit for you or for me, you might ask? Because if you're spending all the time helping other people advance their interest, are there any benefits in it for you? Now, this is where Gary Vaynerchuk and the old man Zig, this is where their perspective comes in handy. Maybe there might be some benefit and something good comes back to you. And if something good comes back, then hey, all well and good. If nothing good comes out of it, there's no harm either. Assuming that when we say nothing good, we're assuming immediate monetary benefit. However, with this networking perspective, if you choose to adopt this, you're going to have a couple of benefits that may not give you monetary benefits now, but might pay off in the future. And as Gary Vaynerchuk says, eventually, when it pays off, you're not supposed to have, you're not supposed to hope for a payoff anyway. But eventually, when this thing pays off 10, 20, however years down the line, the benefits are going to be huge. Number one, you're going to achieve connector status, and that is key. It's something that I'm beginning to enjoy right now because I'm beginning to gain a reputation amongst my small circle about how I'm the man. You need to sort something out. Call Tavishima. He might know a thing or two. So, connector status is key. And if you're a useful connector and you're one of those, you become like a Mr. Fix-It hitman type kind of thing. Whenever people have things that they're working on and they hope might pop off and they need somebody useful, who are they going to call? They're going to call you, Mr. Connector. So you have high connector status because of a very good, useful resource. Because of that, you're also going to have expanded personal influence amongst your friends or friends of friends, and maybe there might be some benefit to this in the future. The reason why I think this is the proper perspective to adopt is, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, if you walk around with the old mentality, you're trying to hook up personal relationships with the hope of getting something out of it in the future, you're going to be disappointed a lot. You'll be disappointed a lot because lots of times you scratch people's back and you go to them and you say, okay, I scratched your back, now scratch mine. chances of them turning around to scratch you, ain't gonna happen. Or if it happens, there might be some resentment there that you're coming at this with a tit for tat, quid pro quo kind of focus. So I think the right perspective is to adopt a much more long-term view. Don't worry about if you're getting anything, if you're getting any moolah out of this right now. Just try and look at the person's business or whatever it is that the person values. Keep it other centric focused and try and see how you can advance their cause. Find out what's important to them. Find out how you can help them advance it. Something good might come out of it. If it does, yay. If nothing comes out of it, it's all right. There's always tomorrow. There are other people. In the meantime, your status as a connector is growing. People see you as a useful resource. Your personal influence expands, and maybe something good might come out of it in the future. An example that I'm going to give, a personal example, I ran into a fellow, he's the younger brother of one of my associates who is a motivational speaker, and he works in the, what should I say, in the tech hub space here in Abuja. He and a couple of people have come together and they have an incubator. And of course, with my uh, other with my other person focused perspective of doing things, I quickly found out what it is that these guys are up to, what's important to them, and I've always tried to be helpful along the way. And now it turns out that indeed I can be very helpful because they're trying to launch a couple of products and they're trying to launch a couple of products and get more reach, one-on-one reach and online reach with their audiences. And it turns out that I have a skill that might come in handy. So apparently, from hanging out with them and handling a few online sessions, training sessions for them for free, it turns out that I'm a pretty decent online slash face trainer when it comes to these sorts of things. But of course, I already knew that because people tell me. Okay, so enough about me bragging. And so through this, we've been running a couple of sessions. The next one is going to be an Instagram Live, which is coming up this Friday. I think that's going to be the 4th, where I'm going to run a sales clinic for their audiences, trying to help people solve their sales problems in real time. And now, what's the benefit of this for me? I'm obviously not getting any moolah out of this, but I'm getting the opportunity to expand my own audience, and because of that, my personal resources for the future. So, no moolah might come out of this in 2020, no money might come out of this in 2021, but there is no scenario in which me expanding my own personal and professional base doesn't end up being a plus over the long term. So, wedding professionals out there, I think this is the proper attitude for you to adopt. Don't just walk around saying, this is me. My name is Nkechi Ngoladi. I'm a wedding planner. And you just go around saying, I'm a wedding planner all day and handing out your business cards. You might get some business out of it, but you are letting go of the true long-term value that will come out of this, of these kinds of associations. So that's it. Those are my ideas about networking and the hope of future business. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. As usual, any questions, comments, or queries, hit me up on email. That's ayede.tave@gmail.com. That is AYEDE.TAVER@gmail.com. Or you can hit me up, Telegram, WhatsApp, SMS, maybe even a phone call on 080-6466-2140. For those of my listeners who are abroad, I wonder why we have so many Americans listening to this podcast, even though it's clearly called Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry. I'm not complaining. Thank you very much for listening. I'm just chuffed that anyone would listen at all. So those of you in America and Australia, yeah, keep listening. And for my loyal Nigerian listeners, as well. Even though for now you guys seem to be in the minority, thank you very much for following the podcast. So that's it. I'll catch you guys at the next episode. I hope to make another recording before Friday, before the Instagram live session on Friday. If I don't do that, then maybe next week one of the sessions will be just letting you guys know what's up, how the Instagram live session went, and then sharing some of the case studies about people that I tried to help. Because no matter what it is that other people do, it's all business. We're all one and the same. So you sell cars, there's stuff that that will help me out in my wedding business. You sell whatever it is you sell clothes. I mean, we can all help each other out and learn from each other. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. I'll catch you at the next episode.